number one, Jordan Love. Is it J-Lo or J-No? All right, when you go Will Levis, J-No, that's when I call you J-No. All right, you gone Will Levis twice this season. Otherwise, you're having a nice year. 15 touchdowns in, I think, 10 games is all you, or 7, however, you haven't played a ton of games, right? 15 touchdowns in 7 games that you played. 10 interceptions, though, you've been a little reckless with the football, but you're still having a good year. And that coach, again, reminded the audience, last year you had a run at the end of the season, and guess what week it started? This week.
Oh.
This week, a year ago, is when you went from, he's okay, he's playing kind of good, to superstar. 18 touchdowns, 1 interceptions in your last 8 games. You guys went 6-2. So go ahead and rally. And what a great week. Division game against the Bears, who your predecessor owned, right? He owned the Chicago Bears, Aaron Rodgers did. Don't let a rookie who's struggling get his mojo back on your watch. So Jordan, go in there against the Bears and get that late season run started. Just is the reason I picked y'all to make the Super Bowl. So J-Lo, I believe in you. I believe you're J-Lo, not J-No.
Oh. All right, let's get into this one. I think putting Jordan Love under duress, I think it's totally fair game. I mean, listen, I love Jordan Love. I think he's a top quarterback in the NFL. I think he's an absolute baller. But playing the Bears are reeling. Caleb Williams is not having the season that he hoped to have, and the Bears as a whole, or especially. And now they have, they had to upgrade. What was it? Their passing coordinator, or whatever, up now. I mean, they're a mess. They're a mess. You got players saying that they needed to bench Caleb. There was reports about the coaching staff having like serious considerations. Like that's what Adam Schefter reported. So the Bears are a mess right now. Jordan Love should be able to play a great, clean game. It's like if you throw an interception, it better be you better have like 4 touchdowns. And it better be a game where you're just balling out and piling on the points. So like, oh yeah, you're gonna have an interception just because you guys have just been balling. But like, I want to see a clean game, and I've been waiting to see a clean game. And it hasn't necessarily happened yet, but I think also some grace needs to be given to Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers just because of him being injured in and out of the lineup. It's like 1 minute he's there, then he's out, and then he's back in and he's banged up, but he still plays. And then he finally gets like a little bit healthier, and then he gets banged up again, and then now he can't come back. Like, that's a tough spot to be in, especially when you're someone like Jordan Love. And this is what I've said previously about him, is that like the dude can make any throw. I mean, he can just do anything on the field. There is not a spot that he can't hit, and it's unreal. And I think when someone like him is going to be a little bit banged up and not 100%, that's when you're going to get an increase of those mistakes, an increase of some of those issues. And I think that that's actually going to be on more of Matt LaFleur to be able to be like, okay, I need to put my quarterback in a more consistent position, not only to succeed, which is what I talk about a lot all the time, but in a position to just make less mistakes. And that's not always the exact same thing. Sometimes, of course, putting someone in a position to succeed, a lot of times will help you minimize your mistakes. But sometimes it's like, that's actually the priority, is for you to minimize these turnovers, minimize these mistakes. Now, I'm also on the record saying that I only care so much about these turnovers, that the guy is just a slinger, that he is going to take shots and take risks and take chances, and that's why they're going to win a ton of these games. And Chris Broussard has pointed out, hey, your predecessor, Aaron Rodgers, owned the Chicago Bears. Don't let that change on your watch. But the problem with Aaron Rodgers was that he was probably too conservative at times and didn't take enough chances and was too afraid to turn the ball over. And a lot of people make the argument that actually held him back and the Packers back. And I'm on the fence about that. I see it being both ways. I really do. But we also know that all-time great quarterbacks turn the ball over, throw interceptions. And as Drew Brees has talked about, it's all about taking calculated risks. It's understanding when to take that gamble, when to throw that 50-50 ball, right? When does this make sense? The type of throw that you make and where and the moment in the game. You know, it's he told you, he said, you pretty much learn to become like a better gambler, essentially, right? Like, that's so much about quarterback play, and that is something that Jordan Love is still developing part of his game. Remember, this is only his second year, and you know what? Look no further than CJ Stroud struggles, right? Everybody was crowding him as a top quarterback, and I think he is a top quarterback. And yet he's struggling this season. And again, there's some excuses for that in terms of injuries. And, you know, now he's down his wide receiver 1 and 2 in the O-line. And I think questionable. You can question Bobby Slowick and stuff like that. But the fact that Jordan Love is still, like, balling, I know he's having some turnovers. And I know he's having some of those issues. But, like, you still see the peak. You absolutely, with Jordan Love, you still see the peak. There are some quarterbacks who people have crowned, and I'm going to not name other names just for the sake of keeping this more neutral. I don't want to trigger any other fan base, quite frankly. But we've seen some of these quarterbacks show some signs of some peak. You know, it's kind of like kissing the top, kissing it a little bit. I mean, Jordan Love this season alone has still already smashed through it. And you're like, that's why that guy got paid all that money. That's why the Packers are so high on him. But his floor has also shown as well. So it's interesting because I think there's a handful of quarterbacks this season who we've not really seen the special in them as much as you would have hoped to see them. With Jordan Love, you have undeniably seen the special and see what that dude can do. But of course, you've also seen the moments where you're like, not the best idea. We don't want to compare you to Will Levis, right? So that's why I think it's fair. I think it's a combination between Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. I think Jordan Love is the type of quarterback, maybe until he really becomes like old man seasoned vet, he will need a coach to protect him from himself. That just comes when you have insane talent. And I think it's what Andy Reid does with Mahomes. It's what someone needs to do for Josh Allen. I think it's what Brian Daboll did for Josh Allen. And I think it's what needs to be done for Lamar Jackson. I mean, how many times has Lamar Jackson put himself in a situation where you're like, you're either going to make an unbelievable play or you are going to take a 55-yard sack right now. I mean, it's just what happens. When you are that unbelievably talented, it's what happens. Right? It just is. Patrick Mahomes kept throwing all these interceptions this season, and what did Andy Reid do? He's like, you're going to throw the ball about like 5 yards now. We're no longer pushing the ball down the field. And that's what they I don't know if this has changed since they got Hopkins now, but prior to that, they were leading the NFL. He was at the bottom for the lowest air yards. So he was throwing essentially the shortest passes. That is Andy Reid taking care of Mahomes and understanding the weapons around him and the offense that needs to be, run. And so I think that's where Matt LaFleur, and again, I'm a huge fan and believe in Matt LaFleur as well. So I that is where Matt LaFleur needs to step up and kind of shine. I really think this is a two-prong approach between Jordan Love continuing to mature, make better decisions, but then also Matt LaFleur understanding, I got this slinger. I got this guy who can just ball and do anything. And I got to be careful with it. I got to be smart and strategic how I game plan, what I ask him to do, and when I ask him to do certain things within the game. Because the dude wants to make a play, and I love it. He's got heart. He wants the ball till he falls, but it's like he needs to be managed in that regard. And again, that's pretty much every single all-time great quarterback. Honestly, probably minus maybe like a Tom Brady, because he that's why people called him a game manager and a system quarterback. And it was like, no, he was just very well-rounded and very smart. And what made him special was his level of consistency and not his magical heroics of some of the things that we see Jordan Love, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, etc. do. So there's just different ways to greatness sometimes. There really is. And, I think Jordan Love will get there. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jordan Love being under duress for the Green Bay Packers versus the Bears? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.